Good evening and welcome to ESC Fan TV. Yes, Norway have voted. We have the first song to go through to their final in 5 weeks' time. I have to say, did you get it right at home? I'm not going to lie, Kiss of Death works every time for me and Joe, but we changed our mind partway through this evening, so it was all good. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the conversation. Get involved in the chat room. Stu is in the chat room this evening. He's going to look after you all. We're looking forward to hearing all your opinions on tonight's songs. The good, the bad, and the pink flamingos as well. Now, also, speaking of Stu, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm really looking forward to this. Isn't it great to get Eurovision up and running again? And especially Melodi Grand Prix, because we love the Norwegian selections. My God, please let it go on forever. Can we have Norwegian Eurovision 365 days a year, Tom? 52 weeks a year. Wouldn't it be amazing?
Yes, it would be amazing, Stuart. And joining me also, the rest of my panel, we've got Elliot. Good evening, Elliot.
Good evening. Clearly, we are psychic if you listen to Thursday's show, and I've never been more happy to be proven wrong from Thursday.
Hey, we've also got joining us the lovely Amalia.
God kväll from Norge. Good evening.
Great to have you on the show. We've also got the lovely Joe.
Hi, everyone.
And also joining us, we've got the lovely Oban as well.
God kväll, dobro večer, Halinihta Europe.
Hey, so guys, let's get down to business. Semi-final one. Unusually, the duels were actually pre-drawn this time round. So it was actually leaked yesterday that it would be Mira Craig versus Eline Noelia in the first one, and then TrollfesT versus Frode in the second duel. Guys, I'm going to have to ask the question. In actual fact, I'm going to go to Joe on this straight away, and then I'm going to go to Amalia. Do you think it makes a difference, the fact that they're doing the duels not live as opposed to live on the night?
Personally, I don't actually, because I had a theory last year that they knew which duels they wanted, and they fixed it somehow. I don't know. It didn't look, and obviously I don't know if they did, by the way. It's just the fact that the way that the duels worked out last year, they were predictable. And I just think that they're going to do exactly the same this year. So I don't think it makes a difference at all. You know, it's good in a way for the contestants to know who they're up against before they actually come on, before so to be fair, that is good, I guess.
Yeah. And Amalia, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I really didn't mind. It doesn't bother me. I think actually it was a little bit better than last year because they didn't use the same amount of time on it. It was just like, okay, because I think the last year they did the first round and the second round, and then the first round again and the second round. But now it was like short and easy process, and yeah, so I don't mind.
It's just me that misses it then. So I quite liked that bit, but we will move on. So duel one, it was Eline Noelia against Mira Craig. By the way, guys, I'm assuming if you're tuning into the show this evening, and it's great to see so many of you in the chat room, that you do know the result of tonight's show, because this is just packed with spoilers. So it shouldn't come as a shock when I tell you that Mira Craig lost the duel. Dressed rather fetchingly in pink, wouldn't you say, Stu?
Well, it worked for me, Tom.
What did you make of Mira's performance?
Well, look, listen, those who watch this show and have stuck with us for many years will know that I am quite partial to a bit of Dolly style. And for me, this had everything a Dolly style fan would want. Look at that. They've even nicked the Dolly style wigs and shoved it on her armpits. It's just fantastic. The whole thing worked for me. I was mortified when this didn't qualify. I'm not sure what that backing dance is doing there, but hey, it still works. I thought it was a good song. I didn't think it would qualify, but when I saw the live performance, I thought it might just edge Eline, to be honest. I was a bit disappointed that it didn't. Hey ho, that's the way it goes, Tom.
It is. It is. Elliot, is there anything you think Mira could have done extra this evening to get her song over the line?
No, the only thing that was missing from what I said from Thursday was just like, fireworks or something. The song now clicks for me. The na 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 bits remind me of Be My Guest from Ukraine. And because when she had the flower crown as well, it kind of all clicked. I'm just glad we didn't have a malfunction with her outfit because, yeah, I was worried. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, there's not much more she could have done. She really did perform it and go for it well. It's just a bit of a shame. I personally would have put this through just. But my biggest bugbear this entire performance is she walks with sickled feet. Her feet turn in naturally when she walks. And as a dancer, that kind of just like, I kind of cringed every time I saw it. But vocally, she was good. She had a lot of fun and she had a lot of energy. And you could tell she was really disappointed when she got eliminated as well. And I think that's the saddest part. Like, she didn't even try and hide her disappointment.
I can't help but feel you may have been one of the only members of the panel tonight that were looking at her feet. Guys, can I just get a kind of just a quick round robin? Yeah, Amalia, were you looking at Mira's feet?
I was not looking at Mira's feet, but I'm sure they're great.
What was your take on Mira?
I really like Mira, Craig. But despite that, I have to say, to me, this was the weakest performance of the night. It came across to me a bit messy and unorganized. I mean, gotta love the costumes, though. I would say it's very typical Mira, Craig. A little outstanding, a little different. I don't know if it's just me, but when I see a performance, I want like everything to be well thought of. So like the costumes has to reflect the song and the staging has to reflect the song. And in the intro, she's told us that the song that or the story that inspired the song was like about Aborigines. And I'm like, I just remember thinking, like, I seriously don't think all Aborigines have pink pubic hair. It just didn't work for me.
Do you know what? It's a fair comment. I have to say, when Stu put the picture up, and Stu, if you'd just like to put that picture up again of the
with pleasure
of the dancers, yeah, I thought you might. There's some interesting glittery bits on that backing dancer. I'm not gonna lie, certain things. Just saying.
To be fair,
No
nothing
idea
says
what was going on.
Eurovision like wigs on your arms and wearing pink roses on your head, really, does it? I mean, it's an iconic look, if ever there was one, Tom.
It's a good cake decoration. Oben, did you enjoy Mira's performance?
Tom, in all fairness, I was also looking at her feet. I was sorry, it was so obvious, and I was going to try very hard to make any comment about this, but thanks to Elliot, he broke the seal, so I can mention it. So, but like Tom, you guys know my opinion about this. Pre-show, she was nobody's winner, even among our panelists. After show, she's still nobody's winner. Sorry, she doesn't have a good stage presence. She looked awkward. She didn't have any pose. She was so like into herself, and she wasn't engaging with the dancers. She didn't even have any single matching move with the dancers. She was just standing there, and then the dancers were doing another thing, I felt dancers were more integrated to the song than she was. So yeah, I think the duel number one was not even a close race for me.
Oh, interesting. And Joe, saving the best till last. Mira's performance. I mean, again, I think I'll go with the same question because I mean, let's face it. I asked if Elliot could do anything to improve the performance, and all he could come up with was the fact that she should put her feet like that. So we're going to go with you. Is there anything that Mira could have done to push her over the line?
Not wear that outfit for a start. Yeah, because I mean, it's funny because Amanda was saying about sort of Aborigine, and it just screamed Polynesian for me. Like it was like a grass skirt gone wrong or something that she was wearing, that pink thing. I just didn't like it at all. So to be honest, yeah, try a different outfit. That might have helped. I think it lost it for her, if I'm really honest.
Oh, well, I think that says it all. Guys, thank you so much to everyone that is in the chat room there. There's some interesting comments there. Dodds, Donna, how many Barbies lost their hair for that outfit? Neil's tongue in cheek. She might have done better singing "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts." Very interesting. Neil, I think that is comment of the night so far for me as well. Soul for Speech, I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of your comments this evening. You're saying that you've screwed up with the choice this evening in Norway. It'd be interesting to see which one you think will qualify. I've got my suspicions as well. Keep your comments coming, guys, and we're going to be reading out more throughout the show. Now, let's talk about the losing song from Duel 2. Let's get these losing songs out the way. TrollfesT. Dance Like a Pink Flamingo. For me, the best moment, I think, of all was when they were waiting for the result of the duel, and it actually just looked like there were lots of pink flamingos just kind of hovering around like that. Absolutely amazing. Joe, did this entirely live up to expectation? Because I know we were rooting for this one on Thursday night.
Wasn't we just? Yeah, I tell you what, I didn't see the problems that I know some of you guys may have seen with the performance, because I thought, it was just a little bit too busy, wasn't it, for me? That was all. I think if they'd have done a little bit less, less is more, I think is the saying, isn't it? And I think that they just sort of done a little bit less. I mean, I don't particularly like the graphics with the girls. There was like some sort of high kick dancing at one point, wasn't there, on the graphics? But I just think they should have just kept it really loony between the 7 of them, and then got rid of some of the graphics that were on there. So yeah, it may have gone a little bit too far for me. So I was slightly on the disappointed side. I don't think they sang it too badly, did they? I mean, I wasn't expecting the best vocals in the world, so. But I love the song, and I just think, it'd be great if it got a wild card, because it is a novelty, and I just think we needed, and it's nice to have a novelty in there, isn't it? And I still love it. It's still catchy.
Do you know what? Absolutely, going to be dancing to that all the way through this year's Eurovision season. Oban, can we expect you to dance like a pink flamingo anytime soon, based on that performance?
I mean, that's the story of my life. I born to dance like a flamingo. In all fairness, though, I know I was a little bit harsh the pre-show, and I think it was important that they didn't qualify, but I think it was important that they put on a show that will be remembered for years to come for all the right reason. And I think with everything I said with the pre-show, only problem I had this performance, it was lazy. Like, it might seem like, I think a lot of people saw it as a chaotic, but I think it was lazy because they didn't even dance like a flamingo. They just put visuals. They just put like videos, like people. And I'm like, you're not doing the thing that you're preaching. Like, there's just like 2-3 of them was running around, and then there was no dancing. I was like, I wanted them to dance like a flamingo as they were asking us to do so. So it was very lazy. It was very lazy.
Speaking of dancing like a flamingo, Elliot, as one of our dance experts, what footwork do you think they could have had in order to actually, how could they have danced like a flamingo in this performance?
I don't know, because I think this was a bit of a hot pink mess. Like Joe said, like they didn't sing it bad, but the mixing was terrible. Like you could hear the backing track more than them, and that was the killer from the start. Couldn't hear what he was saying in like the first verse. Some of them weren't even singing and just miming, which really gets in my gears. And yeah, like they said, they were just running around, so it was like this pink blur. And then you've got the visual of these two can girls doing high kicks whilst in feathers. I was like, what on earth is going on? And it just seemed a bit too messy, a bit too chaotic, and they just needed to scale it back. Like there was just too much to look at, and that's the problem with staging. If there's too much going on, your eye can't focus. I do think, like I said on Thursday, if they weren't going to win tonight, they'll be the wild card, and I stand by that. You know, Jorn was knocked out in the first duel, and he went on to be the wild card winner last year. So they definitely have a chance. They've got 4 weeks for people to love this song, and then people will see what's in the final, think, yeah, we do need actually a bit more diversity in this final. Let's put them in. They're not going to win, but we'll have a fun 3 minutes watching them. So I still think we'll see them in the final, but they do need to tone it down. I think they tried to go with the gimmick aspect a bit too much compared to, I don't think they realized this is going to a live broadcaster's audience, and there's not an audience in the arena to really lift this. Like, that's the thing. It lacked an audience. It lacked the reaction of a live audience when it finished, I think. Because if you had a crowd screaming when that finished, people would have probably thought, oh, maybe that was better than what I think, because the crowd seemed to love it.
It's a good point. I'm slightly swayed by David's comment in the chat room there. Where is Phil and Michelle when we need them? I can't help but feel if we get them on an MGP show sometime between now and mid-February, we may have to dictate how they dress, because I'm sure they would happily dress up like pink flamingos.
They're getting the outfits ready for that final. They're going to be the new backing dancers if they make the final.
Yeah. The thing is, by the final, are they going to be dressing up like wolves and bananas? Who knows? Now, Amalia, obviously you had the benefit of obviously being in Norway, so you weren't on the international stream like we guys were. One of the comments that we had this evening, certainly internationally, was the sound mix on TrollfesT's performance and whether that had an impact. Was that something that you had on the Norwegian feed as well? Do you reckon it impacted on their chances at all?
No, I didn't notice that, actually. I don't know. That was news to me.
Okay. So on the international stream, the sound mix seemed quite loud. The first verse was almost inaudible in terms of like you couldn't quite make out what they were saying. I just didn't know if that was something that you'd
I didn't notice it, so maybe it was just the international stream then. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, was this a performance that tickled your fancy anyway?
Tickled my fancy?
Tickled your fancy.
What a question for last song.
Those flamingos.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, it tickled my fancy quite a lot.
Come on, work with it.
I think this was really. I think it was a fun experience. Extra fun since I do know the guy that play a bass in that band. He was playing bass with me on New Year's Eve, so it was really fun to see him perform. I think it was a fun performance, and they were the only ones that really made me laugh out loud during the show. After they performed and they had the interview, like where they acted as flamingos in the background, it was hilarious. So they really thought of like every little detail, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I liked that bit when they were waiting for the vote, as I say.
Did it tickle your fancy too?
Well, to be fair, this tickled both mine and Joe's fancy. I think it on Thursday. We were very disappointed. We went to a Eurovision night last night, and we were looking forward to perhaps the DJ playing Dance Like a Pink Flamingo, but unfortunately, just didn't happen.
Oh no!
We got some Love Shine a Light Gina G remix thing instead. as you can see, Joe was a great fan of that at about 2:30 this morning as well.
It was my exit button, I think, isn't it? At the time, I was like,
it was our exit music, to be fair. Stu, wrap this one up for me. Pick out some great comments from the chat room. What are they thinking? What are you thinking? Can we see a charity performance from you of this anytime soon?
Yeah, well, I wasn't the biggest fan of this when we talked about it on Thursday, but I thought it was probably the most epic performance tonight. I thought it was really good. I thought the vocals were pretty good for having 7, and I mean 7 people on stage, by the way. Naughty, naughty Norway. Got to eliminate one of those. But I thought it was good fun. And to be honest, I think having 7 on stage is hard when you want to have a routine anyway. But I think they made it work. It was a hot pink mess, but it was a fun hot pink mess. And I thought this might have qualified, you know. What we have learned from Norway tonight is what happens when you take Big Daddy's outfit and spread it across 2 entries in Norway in one night. That's what happened tonight. And to be quite frank with you, I haven't seen 7 people that pink since the time I went on a gingers only holiday to Zante and forgot the sun cream, Tom.
Love it, love it, love it. Guys, keep the comments coming in the chat room. David, I saw on Twitterverse on TrollfesT saying if Lordi and Netta had a baby. We've also got some agreement for Elliot as well. We have to kind of big this up, you know. Lee says Elliot agreed. A huge, deep mess as well. Let's move on. Now, the winner of Duel 1 was Eline Noelia, Ecstacy. Unsurprisingly, unlike all the losers this evening, she wasn't wearing pink. But a very solid performance. I'm going to be slightly controversial with the panel this evening, having seen all the performances. And who shall I pick on for this one? This is Elliot. There we go. This is a really good question. I think that Eline should have been the automatic qualifier and not Elsie. I think it would have been really good. Or Eline should actually have been an automatic qualifier herself.
Let's agree to disagree on that one, because I think when you compare Eline and Elsie's songs, they're somewhat similar, but Elsie is, to be blunt, a far stronger singer, and it's a much more engaging song. And both times I watched her performance, all I could think is, she looks just like Lisa Ajax. That's all I could see was Lisa Ajax with Joan Collins' power shoulders. It's all I could see. She was better the second time because it was more controlled, but that big high note the first time, no. That's why I thought Mira was going to win it, because she was better vocally the first time round than Eline. Like I said, it was so weird because she's in like this corporate power suit, which is bedazzled, so great. But then she's doing this mid-tempo hip hop routine, but kind of half doing it because she's still quite static. And it was just, it all just felt a bit flat and cold for me. Like, she sang fine. I had no issues with her vocals like the second time around, like I said. But I just couldn't get enthusiastic about this song, and I've tried. I have really tried to get enthusiastic about this song, but I know Stuart said on Thursday it was similar to Alleviate or Elevate from last year. I think Elevate was a much better song than this last year. I still love that song by Stina, and yeah, I'm glad this didn't win, because I did think in the gold duel she could have actually taken it, to be honest. But I'm sure we'll see her again, because she's a seasoned performer and she's got a good vocal, so I'm sure she'll be back in a few years, if not next year.
Yeah, I do think she'll be back next year. I'm still gonna bang my drum that I think Eline should have been an automatic finalist. So I'm just gonna pick a different victim, and I'm gonna go for Oban.
Tom, I love it. Eline, whatever. I love her. Like, when we first listened to the songs, the pre-show, I thought they are in the same line, the automatic qualifier of tonight, and Eline is the same line. But I think tonight's show, the live performance, put her song totally in another category, and I think that was a spot on staging, and her voice, for a second I thought it's the recording, audio recording. It sound perfect, and I think she still has the chance to get to the final of MGP. So maybe she doesn't need to come back in a few years. Maybe we will see her again in a few weeks. Fingers crossed.
This is true. Amalia, do you reckon out of the entries that didn't qualify tonight, has Eline got strong wildcard hopes on the horizon? You're on mute, Amalia.
Now.
Now
I'm
you're good.
sorry. Yeah. No, I was actually really impressed. I think she's a solid and really safe vocalist. She sang it really effortlessly, and I really love the staging. And you got to keep in mind that this was actually her TV debut. This was the first time she sang live ever on TV, which is amazing to perform like that when it's your first time. I think she looks like an artist, she sounds like an artist, she moved like an artist, she had a lot of artistic qualities. My little problem is, of course, what people are referring to as a siren. It's more painful than it is cool, and it wouldn't be necessary for her to put something like that in the song because she's such a strong vocalist anyway, so she don't need to have like the extra to, I don't know, impressive notes or something. But all in all, I think she should have won tonight, and she did a really good performance.
What do you, I'm just going back to the siren, what do you think the main purpose of the siren was for her then? Was it to help her with the high notes, to emphasize them, or something else?
I don't know. It's just, I think it's working against, how do I say it? Like, it ruins a bit the song for me, because it when you get that high, it's a very fine line between impressive and a little bit annoying. And to me, it became, I mean, the chorus is something you usually look really forward to, but in this case, it was like, I noticed that okay, now it's coming, and then okay, we move on. So I think it would have been better if she tried something different just there, and it would be perfect.
Hey. Joe, let's move on to you. This was a song I know when we discussed it on Thursday night, you weren't entirely sure about. Did Eline manage to sway your view at all this evening with her performance?
Not really. I just the song for me is just the same old. You know me. I want different. But also, especially in the first duel, she's better in the final. I mean, the first, it's just literally that screech. You know, I just didn't like it at all, not at all. And I certainly don't think she should be an automatic qualifier. Put it that way. Definitely not. It's just not one of the songs I would get up on the, and want to sort of support as such. So I'm sort of glad she didn't win. Does that make sense? It sounds awful, but yeah, you know what it's like. The right one won, as they say.
That's true. I can imagine though, Morten, because Morten was with us on Thursday night. This was in his top 3 when he spoke with us on Thursday. I can imagine someone's a little bit disappointed this evening as well. Stu,
Yeah.
have we saved the best till last with looking at the comments on this song? What did you think?
It's a bit mixed on the comments. I think there's some love for it, but not a lot. I was reflecting on Amalia's point, actually, and I think we do have to remember it's her first performance. I think you have to give props to her for even pulling that note off, because, my God, that's hard to do. It's a very complex song, actually. And I sort of think it's unnecessarily complex. It didn't need to be that hard. And I think if you just dropped that high note down a bit, you'd probably have a more pleasing and digestible song that actually most people would vote for. I think it probably was that high note that actually meant that she didn't go through tonight. It's just as simple as that. It's a good song, actually. It's a modern song, and I can understand why Morten would like it. And I must admit, remember on Thursday I said, well, I guess I will appreciate it more when I see it live, and I did tonight. I thought it was pretty good. Interesting staging. Love the staging. I thought it was a really nice nod to Anna Bergendahls' Kingdom Come last year.
It wasn't even last year, Stu. That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Wow, didn't time fly with
Yeah.
the lockdown? Anyway, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was fun. There's a bit of Sanna Nilsson at the start when it's dark and the kind of the lights coming out. Yeah. The thing I take away from that, though, is if they think the 80s are coming back, my God. In Norway this year, they've 100% arrived, haven't they? What we saw there was Alex Rotan dressed by Joan Collins on stage. It was absolutely fan-bloody-tastic. I loved it.
I have to admit, yeah. Going with that, the outfit, the power shoulders, yes. Bring back Dynasty. Now, before we move on to discussing tonight's winner, because, sorry guys, we've got to save that one till last. Let's take a glance at the automatic qualifier. Elsie Bay took to the stage with what I can only say was a quite haunting staging with the orchestral instruments in the background, which I thought worked to great effect. She's obviously straight through to the final. Let's go straight to Amalia on this one. Elsie, what was your thoughts on the performance?
I'm very split. I was expecting more, actually. I thought I had really high expectations for this one. And unfortunately, I didn't quite understand the staging. I thought the staging were boring. And it made like the song more boring for me, because I really wanted to, like, the only thing was just all these instruments and nothing going on throughout the whole song. And I wish they would have used some sort of effects of some kind. That high note in the middle there really like blew me away. But other than that, it was I'm a bit disappointed, actually. And maybe I can agree on you that maybe Ecstacy they should have switched places, maybe. I don't know. I have to chew on this one.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I wonder whether, because Elsie's been touted as a potential winner of MGP as well on some of the social media channels this week. And I wonder if this was almost like a deliberate attempt, almost just to kind of downplay it ever so slightly, because I think there's always a tendency that you want to peak, don't you, at the very end, at the final, to give that wow factor. And maybe they just thought that, week one was the time just to kind of hang back slightly on that. I don't know. Interesting thoughts. Let's get Oben's view.
Tom,
Oben.
where to start? As soon as I saw her, like was it postcard video, whatever would you call it, I felt like she's my little sister, or like if she would have been my daughter or something. Like it's so she was looking so tiny and delicate, and like it's this young woman is full of talent and full of courage to take such a big competition on, and all these established artists and so on. It's just like I really wanted her to do well, and I'm really happy that she's a direct qualifier, and I think it's the well-deserved direct qualification. The staging was on point, the song is amazing, her vocals were amazing. It's just like she started to sing and my heart was broken. So I get it. MGP, I get it. I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you. And I think Elsie is a contender for winning the MGP. Elsie is contender for winning the Eurovision.
Oh, fighting talk, massive fighting talk. Especially as we're in January, we're literally at the very start. Joe, what what can we say? Are you in agreement with Oban on that one, or do you think that we need to kind of wait and see how things play out?
Yeah, not in agreement with Oban. No. Don't get me wrong, this is a nice song. It is a sweet song. I thought she looked amazing tonight. I love that dress she was wearing. So I thought she played it really nicely, what she was wearing. I just don't like her voice, and I said this on Thursday, and I'll say it again. It's not the kind of voice that appeals to me. But then we've all got our own tastes, and everyone's different. What I would say, because there's obviously people saying, "Oh, staging needs to change," there's comments and things. I mean, it will change. It will change for the final. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't, because if you look back to some of the performances, even sort of a couple of years ago, I mean, if you guys, I mean, as they were on, I'll mention them. Diedrich and Emil, a couple of years ago, when they were the automatic qualifiers and they were performing, everyone was saying that the staging didn't look right and it needed to change, and they did. They did a massive change for the final, and I think, she'll probably take on board what she needs to do to improve it, to try and get that win. But I hope she still keeps with what the kind of theme, put it that way, that she's got. But I still hope she doesn't win, just because I don't want another Victoria. I just don't, not this year anyway.
I have to say, spoiler alert as to where my current preferences are. I've been listening to Give That Wolf a Banana on repeat the last few hours.
Yeah, I totally feel you, Tom. I get ya.
I can't wait to see that in a couple of weeks' time. Elliot, we've talked about staging. How would you improve Elsie's staging?
Oh, it's difficult, because at the same time, the selling point is her and the song, but at the same time tonight, and I know it was just a demo performance, so things will change. Like, she didn't have to go all out tonight. I don't think she did. I think she's got another gear or two where she can go. But at the same time, something just felt lacking. I'd probably have more dry ice on the floor for us, make it more atmospheric. I think that would make it better. I didn't get the whole sort of like stacked chairs and orchestra in the background. Felt a bit odd to me, but maybe it's because there's a lot of orchestral instruments. She wanted that sort of link on stage. I don't know. I agree with Joe. I really liked her dress / jumpsuit, and it felt very her, because she was in something similar when she got announced as well. She sang it absolutely fine. Maybe a bit too quiet, and that's why I think like she's got another gear to go. So I think she can really, belt this song where she needs to, like, with the big shouts and whatnot. My only issue is when she does that big note after the second chorus where the music seems to sort of change, because they did such a wide shot and it sounded like the backing track. I couldn't tell if she was singing that or she was just lip syncing and moving around to make it sound like she was. I don't know if that's another streaming issue with the mixing of it, but for me it didn't sound like she sang that bit live. Like, she dodged it and she just let the backing track do it. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope in the final she does actually do that and nail it. But am I convinced this is a Eurovision winner? No, as Joe said, it's January. Way too early to hear. We've heard a tenth of the songs we're going to hear between now and May. Is it an MGP winner? Yeah, it's still got a chance. I still think it will be in that top 4. It's still got a chance to be in that top 2. But like I said, there are 2 other songs I'm waiting on in their staging and their live performance, and then I'll say for certain if I think it will be in that gold duel. Because like I said, there's 2 songs I think which can beat her, and I stand by it at the minute.
Hey, thanks, Elliot. Stu, wrap this one up for us. What's the chat room saying?
Well, there's a lot of love for it. There's a few people saying that they're not convinced yet. But this is, in my opinion, amazing. I love this song so much. It talks to me. The lyrics are phenomenal. Very, very well written. Stunning vocal. Stunning girl. She looks incredibly beautiful in that gold jumpsuit tonight. I thought it was fantastic. The staging doesn't need to be all singing or dancing. I actually liked the simplicity of it, but they will work on it. There will be changes, absolute no doubt. Look at the difference between Kano's staging from week 1 to the final last year. Things will change, absolutely. It's silky, it's smooth, it's sexy, it's captivating. It's like something straight out of a Bond movie. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if Norway were to send this. I think they'd have a very strong Eurovision with this song. And I don't know how many times she's performed live, but her emotion in her face was phenomenal. And it gave me goosebumps. I was sitting there watching it. It's the first time for a long time where I was like, whoa, this is a real performance. Props to her. I thought she was outstanding. And look forward to seeing her in the final. I thought it was a really, really, really good entry.
Yeah. And guys, don't forget, if you've got any questions for Elsie, Gustav and Elliot are interviewing her on Tuesday. Get the questions in via the social media channels, and then the interview will be published later this week as well. Now, the night obviously belonged to Frode. Black Flowers, with an intro, and I'm going to go to Joe first of all on this, because we were trying to place this, and I was thinking of the introduction to The Way You Make Me Feel, the Michael Jackson song, with the kind of the drum beats. That's the closest thing I could come up with this evening. I still don't think I've actually nailed what that song actually reminds me of, but what was the conversion moment? Because I know we were discussing this on the chat during the show. What was the conversion moment when you thought Frode is probably going to get this?
For me, it was his vocals. They were faultless tonight, wasn't they? Or, I mean, did anyone pick anything with the vocals? Because I thought he sang it exceptionally well. I also like the staging, to be fair. I mean, I think there's been a lot of talk, on the chat. There was a lot of talk about it being quite Swedish in a way. I just actually quite like the way he presented it, and he nailed it, and he was confident, and he wanted it, and when he was doing his discussion, he was humble and thankful when he won, and there was so much. He's got a likability, hasn't he? And for me, and I thought, oh yeah, he could do well. Whether it actually, I don't know whether it can stand up to some of the automatic qualifiers and some of the ones that are potentially going to come in the other semis that could win. But I think he deserves his place. There's no doubt about it. He deserves his place in that final. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the vocals. I thought it was spot on. There's one particular note, and he just kind of leant back to kind of deliver it, and then it kind of is one level, and then it goes up as well. And I was just like, my God, you've actually nailed that. It was, for me personally, I thought it was really, really, really impressive. And I think this goes back to what we were saying on Thursday night, is that it's great to have diversity. We already know, obviously, what 4 of the songs are going to be in the final. And I think Black Flowers offers that diversity to the songs that we've already got. Stu, what was your take on Frode?
I thought it was a proper 80s rock song. I mean, it's very relatable. We've heard this time and time again. Staging was really good. He was chained up. He was banged up in prison, breaking free. I thought it was good. I thought it really nailed what you want to see from a Eurovision song, actually. It very much ticks the Eurovision genre, if ever there was a Eurovision genre. I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about there. But it just hits you immediately, has immediate impact, and that's what most good Eurovision songs have. I did find a few faults in his vocal, to be honest. There were a couple of points where I thought he was slightly out of tune, but for him, it was also our first performance on MGP, so hey, you've got to give these guys props for doing it. Good song, loads of charisma, really enjoyed it. I mean, it was very Land of Leather, wasn't it? There was so much leather going on there. Yeah, who doesn't like leather? Me, actually. I remember the time my wife bought me this hideous leather jacket and somehow convinced me to wear it. I think I'm easily swayed There you go, Tom. Easily swayed. No.
I to be fair, I just love the segue into just like the story of your wife buying a leather jacket. It's so bizarre. Amalia, obviously, Frode competed in Norway's version of The Voice last year. Do you think that was a great training ground for what he had to kind of achieve this evening?
Yeah, and I mean, if not, he still would have had lots of training anyway. He's been the backing singer for a lot of artists before, and I think he's very used to being on stage. So I think he would have nailed it anyway. He has a great vocal. I do agree with Stu on the fact that there was a pitchy here and there, but it wasn't a big problem. I love the staging. It was really cool. Love the fact that he. I love the costumes. Yeah, I mean, to me, it was like, I don't mind that he won tonight. It's I don't mind, but at the same time, to me, it doesn't stand out. It doesn't scream like this is the one. This is the one. But all in all, very well performed, cool staging, and I don't remember. It's almost embarrassing, but I don't remember the name of one of the guys in Kino because I was like, it's got to be his jacket. Do you know what I mean?
Tom Hugo was the person mentioned in the chat room.
Yes, very nice of him to borrow him his jacket. Yeah.
Hey. Elliot, there's been a question put in the chat room. Blasmuthian won semi-final one last year. Obviously, Black Flowers won semi-final one this year. What one's the better winner?
That's slightly cruel, but I'm going to give it to Frode because I actually wanted Stina to win the semi-final last year. As good as Blasmuthian were, they delivered it live. Like I said on Thursday, if I could handpick a winner from tonight, it would have been Black Flowers. So I am very happy with the result tonight. Very surprised because I did joke they're going to get put against TrollfesT and get eliminated. But as Joe said, best vocal of the night, best staging of the night. Very clever VT to mention he's been to Eurovision 3 times as a backing vocalist, so he knows how to do this. He knows what he's signing up to. And again, he's done The Voice. He's got that camera training, and you could see it tonight. He knew where his marks were. He knew how to deliver to the camera and how to look down to it. And when it's a TV-only audience, that's what makes or breaks a performance. And that's how I think he won. He knew what to do because it was a TV performance. And he's done that for the last year. So I think it fell into Flode's hands quite nicely. And like I said, he knows what is expected of the artists that go to Eurovision because he's done it 3 times in a row and been quite successful with Joust, Alexander and Kino. So I don't want to say he's an asset, but he's used to doing well.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and I think that is probably what stood out the most for me with his performance amongst the other stuff. I mean, I love the whole kind of like the caging and stuff like that. I feel that was quite atmospheric and things like that. But out of all of the artists, he seemed to know who he was selling it to and who he was performing it to this evening. It wasn't like, it was almost like, I know the audience is at home, but he was still almost performing it as if there was an audience in the arena more, I think, than a couple of the others. I'm going to say notably TrollfesT, I think, who just had this whole chaotic element that I absolutely adored. And I loved it. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. But if you compare the two, Frode certainly sold the song a lot more. Oben, wrap this one up for us.
Let me take care of that, Tom. So, before I say anything, I want to just country name drop, and I want to say a country's name that I don't get to often share them on this channel. So I just want to say Cyprus 2016, mine alter ego -1, staging, proof on staging, cages, and the drama. So you're welcome, Norway. That's aside. Whew. About Frode, whatever. I don't get to say these names tonight well. Anyway, absolute deserving winner of the night. The by mile, the best performance. No, actually, it's not fair. I think it was a close race, but I think this song is it was executed to the perfection, and I really love it, and I'm really happy that it qualified, and I'm really happy that MGP hasn't make me gone wild from the first night.
Hey, and do you know what the great thing is with semi-final one? We get to do it all over again, not just next week, but the week after, and the week after that as well, before we get the big final as well. Final question for the panel this evening. I know we've kind of analysed it to death anyway, but did the right song win the semi-final this evening? I'm going to start at Stuart, work my way round to Elliot. Stu, off you go.
I think so, yeah. I think that Norway chose the right song. It'll be good in the final. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a good rock song. It's very 80s inspired. The 80s are coming back and all that malarkey. There's lots of leather. Why is there? What's not to love about lots of leather? Yeah, I think so. Nice one, Norway.
Hey, Oben.
Agree with everything Stuart says. Right choice. Right way to go, Norway.
Joe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as much as I love TrollfesT, I do think performance-wise, Frode was the best. And remember, out of any of you here, I was the only one that actually lived the 80s. I am not old.
Amalia.
Yeah, I think so. It actually reminds me, speaking about what it reminds us of, it reminds me a lot about the song from Muse. I really liked it. Yeah, I think it was the right winner tonight.
And finally, Elliot, as if we need to ask.
Yeah, right winner tonight. As I said on Thursday, in a mad final, clean, competent song and staging can see you through, and that's what happened. And it could happen again in the final. 9 times out of 10, the safest bet goes well when the bigger song goes a bit wrong. You hedge your bets on something a bit safer, and Frode is the safe fallback if everything else goes wrong with Subwoofer and Elsie and all the others. So he could be in the top 4 in a month.
He could be. It is all to play for, and of course, Elliot, that's 1 out of 4 for you in terms of your predictions. I'm going to be more impressed if we end up with 4 out of 4 at the end of the season.
It's my one. I've had my favourite winner national final and my favourite winner semi-final. I'm done for the season now. It's just disappointment from here on out.
Oh dear, this does not bode well. Steve, what's coming up? Steve, what's coming up next on ESC Fan TV?
Well, Tom, we've got a tsunami of content coming your way, people. Make sure you come back here on Thursday evening where we preview Melodi Grand Prix 2022 Heat 2. And we'll be back here next Saturday night at 9:30 Central European time for another recap. And in between, we should be delivering you some interviews along the way, one of which should be with Elsie Bay. Stick with us. Make sure you like tonight's show. Those in the chat room, there'll be 400 of you watching live tonight. And can I just say what a pleasure it is to be able to engage with you in our chat, in the chat room. It's wonderful to hear your comments. Thank you for sending them through. Give us a like. Keep coming back. We love you to death. And we will see you very, very soon. It's Eurovision season, people.
It is Eurovision season. Thank you to everyone that's contributed in the chat room this evening. There's been some absolute crackers. I'm going to make Elliot go through them all just to compose an ESC Fan TV quotes board. Doesn't know it yet. Total surprise. Hey! That'll keep him going for a little while. In the meantime, a massive thanks to my panel this evening. Massive thanks to Oben.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who watched it tonight. I love you all. Have a nice evening.
Big thanks to the lovely Joe.
Oh, thanks everyone. And can I just say to Annie, I said exactly the same thing in the chat earlier. Diedrich and Emil were fabulous. They will be far the best tonight.
Hey. Big thanks to Amalia.
Thank you so much for having me again. It has really tickled my fancy.
Hey. Also, big thanks to Elliot.
Thanks, guys. This has been a lot of fun as always, and thank you everyone in the comments as well. Just another 4 weeks of this to go.
Yeah, but we roll on to Melfest from there on in. This is it.
Oh,
Come
God.
on. Oh, it's amazing. And also, massive thanks to my co-host, the lovely Stuart.
Thank you, Tom. And I'm off to go and tickle my fancy. Roll on Sunday.
I was going to say, it's dry January over already. We'll be back on Thursday. Don't forget, send in your questions for Elsie Bay. That interview takes place on Tuesday. But until the next time, goodbye.